Third-year high school students Akari Watanabe and Jiro Yakuin are randomly assigned together for their school's couples training program. This course evaluates and judges them based on their performance as newlyweds. During that time, many things happened between them. Akari Watanabe, a third-year high school student, tosses a 500 yen coin into a well and prays at a shrine, wishing to be paired with the guy she likes for the upcoming marriage practical. Her classmate, Shiori Sakurazaka, arrives at the shrine but stumbles and collides with Akari, startling her. Recognizing Akari, Shiori inquires if she visited the shrine for the practical. Akari, clearly flustered, denies this and departs from the shrine. Shiori then goes to the well, throws in a coin, and starts to pray. Another classmate of Akari's provides a brief description of the marriage practical, wherein two students, one male and one female, are assigned to live together as mock newlyweds. At Seishun Academy, Jiro is depicted sitting on the staircase, playing video games with his friend, Sadaharu Kamo. While they enthusiastically discuss their activity, Akari interrupts and irately points out that they are obstructing the stairs. The two boys shift aside to let Akari and her friends through. Sadaharu finds Akari attractive, but Jiro harbors a dislike for her due to her Gyaru features and her tendency to treat people like him as beneath her. Jiro and Sadaharu then observe Akari greeting her crush, Minami Tenjin, where she openly expresses her admiration for his coolness and good looks. Next, Jiro is shown sitting in class while conversing with Shiori, his childhood friend and crush. Shiori expresses her hope of being paired with someone familiar for the upcoming practical. During class, the teacher presents details about the marriage practical, including the living arrangements and evaluation criteria. Throughout the presentation, Jiro reflects on his current situation with Shiori and appears to feel pessimistic, believing that she regards him merely as a friend. Nevertheless, he desires to be partnered with her because she is the only girl with whom he feels comfortable interacting. Unfortunately for him, he ends up paired with Akari, and the scene shifts to them being alone together in the training dorm, where they will be living together from this point forward. Akari, who is angry about the pairing, confronts Jiro, who awkwardly requests that she calm down. Akari complies but stays upset and voices her complaints about her current situation. Jiro comments that she is upset since she didn't get to partner with the individual she desired, and Akari replies that she knows he wanted to be matched with Shiori. Akari then jokes, suggesting that Shiori would not wish to be with him and that she must be enjoying herself with her new partner. Jiro counters by stating that it is disrespectful to Shiori to make such assumptions, and in turn, Akari insults him. Suddenly, the scoreboard in the room changes from 0 to -3, surprising both Akari and Jiro. Acting swiftly, Akari instructs Jiro to start getting along with her so that they can accumulate enough points to be ranked in the top 10. Akari mentions that they would have the chance to switch partners if they achieve a sufficiently high score, and she expresses her desire to pair with Minami. Jiro realizes that they would need to act as ideal newlyweds with one another and becomes uncertain, but Akari playfully whispers in his ear that she will strive to be the perfect wife. This causes Jiro to become quite flustered and their score to improve from -3 to -2, which delights Akari. Jiro, utterly bewildered by the situation, opts to step out of the dorm to buy some drinks. Akira is then depicted sulking on the couch, disheartened by the thought of Minami being paired with another girl who is not her. While purchasing drinks at a vending machine, Jiro spots Minami and Shiori walking together. He quietly listens in on them and discovers that the two are partners in the practical. Clearly upset by this revelation, he rushes back to the dorm and starts brooding on the couch. Akari, initially irritated by Jiro's sulking, attempts to console him as she pretends to be a supportive partner. However, Jiro still finds it uncomfortable to consider them as a flawless pretend couple, despite Akari's assertion that it would serve as good practice for him. At this moment, Sadaharu arrives and rings their doorbell, asking Jiro if he wants to hang out, to which he agrees. Before he can leave, however, Akari halts him and states that he cannot leave while they still possess a negative score. To Jiro's astonishment, Akari proposes that he give her a goodbye kiss. When Jiro hesitates, Akari mocks him for lacking the courage to do it. Meanwhile, Sadaharu impatiently rings the doorbell, urging Jiro to hurry up. Caught between Akari's teasing and Sadaharu's relentless nagging, a frustrated Jiro ultimately surrenders and impulsively kisses Akari on the lips. Jiro departs with Sadaharu, observing that he allowed Akari to affect him. Akari drops to her knees, flustered, stating that she never intended to be kissed on the lips. The event results in their score increasing from -2 to 0. While dreaming pleasantly about Shiori, Jiro, who had dozed off in the living room, is abruptly awakened by Akari. The girl instructs Jiro to start helping out around the house, which he clumsily agrees to. A week later, Jiro is seen performing morning class tasks when his teacher notices him and asks that he and Akari visit the faculty office after school for a meeting. Jiro sees Shiori and Minami outside getting along, which leads to his feelings of sadness. To complicate things further, Akari chose to have Jiro attend the meeting with the teacher by himself, since she had plans for karaoke with Minami and her friends. During the meeting, the teacher points out that Jiro and Akari's performance scores in the practical have not improved and reminds him he won't graduate if things stay the same. After the meeting, Jiro must remain inside the school building since it is raining and he left his umbrella behind. Shiori, who also forgot her umbrella, notices him and they have a chat. Shiori requests that he start calling her by her first name instead of her last name, Sakurazuka, which he had been using ever since the incident that occurred between them years ago. Jiro, feeling anxious about addressing her by her first name again, attempts to do so, but Minami arrives to collect Shiori. Jiro casually concludes the conversation and allows them to leave, which clearly lets down Shiori. Unbeknownst to them, Akari was lurking nearby, quietly listening to the entire conversation. Jiro is now alone in the school building. Akari walks over to him and offers to share her umbrella to walk him home. As they step outside, Akari encourages a sorrowful Jiro not to give in and to keep striving for Shiori, albeit in a somewhat sharp tone. As the rain gradually lessens, Jiro proposes they stop by the convenience store for dinner, but Akari declines, stating she has something else planned. Back at their dorm, Akari has prepared omelet rice for them both. When Jiro reaches for the ketchup, Akari takes his hands and guides him to squirt the ketchup in the shape of the word love on his omelet. Following a bite of his meal, Jiro offers to spoon-feed some of his omelet to Akari to gain points for their practical assignment. Akari states she won't do something like that, but Jiro reminds her that it's also embarrassing for him. As Jiro begins to reconsider, Akari unexpectedly takes a bite from his spoon, remarking on how tasty the food is. This action brings their faces close together, allowing them to gaze into each other's eyes for a brief moment. Suddenly, Jiro receives a phone call from Sada Haru, and he goes back to his room to take it. Both Jiro and Akari are left reflecting on the perplexing emotions they had just encountered.
Jiro is dreaming about Shiori while he is sleeping in his room on a stormy night, but Akari's shouts for him to wake up disrupt his reverie. The second time Jiro is awakened in this manner, he is irate and warns Akari that she cannot make it a habit to wake him up like this. With a worried glance, Akari abruptly grabs Jiro and begs him to remain by her side for the night. In a horror film, Akari lets out a terrified shriek in response to a jump scare. Akari tells Jiro that watching a horror film in the living room at such a late hour will help them score an A rank on the practical. When he asks her why they are doing it, Jiro switches off the television despite Akari's protests. Because he's not sure the strategy would be effective, Akari smiles at this news and immediately starts putting her next point-scoring strategy into practice, getting them to wear matching pajamas. Akari starts changing clothes in front of Jiro without shame, despite being invited to take off her clothes in her room. Jiro chooses to change in the living room too, turning away. The power in the dorm abruptly goes off due to a lightning strike as they are both changing into their pajamas. In a panic, Akari grabs onto Jiro, and the boys' confusion increases the couple's score. Jiro now uses his smartphone's flashlight to brighten the space since it's pitch black. Jiro turns on the flashlight to show her tear-covered face, despite Akari's protest that he not do so, and screams at him to turn away. Because the fingerprint scanners on their door handles don't work without electricity, Akari and Jiro discover that they are locked out of their rooms. The pair is left with no alternative but to remain in the living room until the electricity is restored. In an effort to calm her anxiety about being in the dark, Akari, who is still feeling anxious, asks Jiro to tell her a story as they sit together on the sofa. When Jiro starts to narrate a scary tale, Akari becomes terrified and lashes out at him with rage. Minami wouldn't treat her in such a cruel manner, Akari replies when Jiro apologizes. Akari then grabs Jiro's hand and says that he should at least attempt to be someone she can rely on. Jiro is perplexed by her words and actions, wondering if Akari was just teasing him or if she was serious. Later, Akari switches on an aromatherapy candle without a flame that her pal Natsumi had given to her. Akari starts to nod off as the candle's lovely aroma permeates the space, and she leans closer to Jiro. Jiro, who seemed pleased watching her, shouts her name. He unwittingly embraces her and calls her cute when she gives him a warm reply. As Jiro hugs her, he abruptly realizes what he just said and feels ashamed, wondering if Akari had heard him. He is relieved to see that Akari has already nodded off. He reaffirms his statement that Akari was adorable, holds her hand, and says goodnight to her before drifting off to sleep. Akari, who was unaware of what he had said, wonders silently about the meaning of his words.